Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so today we are answering the question that everybody wants to know: how much do you need to make in order to buy a home in Richardson, Texas? So let me know if you can hear me okay. I need to make sure that I can hear myself, so give me 1 second. All signs point to yes, this should be working, but things happen. Awesome. All right, so how much do you need to make to buy a home in Richardson? We're going to go through a deep dive. There's several elements that we're going to cover, not just the big reveal of how much, although you're going to get that along the way. I want to share with you the real estate values in Richardson. I'm going to show you some homes that you can realistically purchase for those values, so you're not just driving blind per se. We're going to talk extensively about loan types, property taxes. I'm going to show you how to actually calculate your payment, so you don't have to always have your credit be pulled with every lender out there, and then it ultimately affect your credit. So that is the roadmap that we have today. I have everything that we need over here on the right hand side. So let me move a few screens. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, if you want to share where you're contributing from today, that would be very helpful. All right, let's get going. I want to be super respectful of your time. All right, so first let's start off with prices, right? We need to know if in order for us to know or figure out or calculate how much we need to make in order to purchase a home in Richardson, we need to find out how much the homes actually cost. Very natural, right? So here is the website that I like to go to. So it's altos, ALTOS.REE. And here's what you're going to see: the trend line. So the median list price that I think this goes back 5 years. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 5 years. So you see where the prices were back in 2019. They were $350K, the median sales price. And then you saw over the years those spikes, and ultimately right now it is towards the higher of the high, and you're looking at about $550K for a home. So you went $200,000 rise. You had a $200,000 rise, which is what, a 66% rise from where it was in 5 years. So yes, home prices have gone up significantly, but we're not going to use that particular median price. What we're going to do is, and the reason that I like this altos.re website is because it gives you different price points. It gives you different segments. So it breaks it down into quarters, the top 25%, then the second, third, fourth. So this gives you a good idea, especially if you know the type of home that you need, but you may not necessarily are sure if this type of home exists in the area that you're trying to purchase. In this case, we're talking Richardson. This entire video will be about Richardson. So this gives you a good idea if you're coming from out of state, or if you're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and are curious, hey, if I have a need of 4 beds and 3 baths, as an example, as you see right here, if you have a need of 4 beds, 3 baths, can I afford a home in Richardson? Well, if you have a budget and if you're pre-approved for $630,000, then the answer is yes. But if your max price budget is $377,000, then the answer might be no. Actually, it would be no, given that here on average in this quartile, the lowest range here is $377,000, and on average it's a 1,500 square foot home, and on average it's a 3-bed, 2-bath home. So again, if you have the need of 4 beds and 3 baths, well, in Richardson, unless you have this type of budget, that might not be within your budget. So that's why I really like this particular website. So again, altos.re. It is free for you. You just go in here and check out the city that you're looking for. So for our analysis, what we're going to do is we're going to work with this quartile. Actually, no, we're not. What are we doing? We are going to work with this quartile, because most of the time what I get asked about with our clients is about bedrooms, 4 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms. So typically it's 2.5 or 3 bathrooms. That's what we typically get asked. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and bump up. Last video that we did Plano, and we worked on this quartile, but there, for the price that was there, I believe was a 4 bed and 2 baths. So here, again, we're just going to bump it up solely for the fact because this type of inventory, 4 beds, 3 baths, or anything beyond 2 baths is what we get asked about all of the time. So that's what we're going to look at. So 2,700 square foot home, 4 beds, 3 baths on a quarter of an acre to a half of an acre. So that's a very sizable lot at $630,000. That is the prices that we are talking about. Hey, Isaiah, welcome, welcome. Thanks for hopping on. Let's get this going. All right, so that's what we're working with, $630,000. Now what we're gonna do is let's check out some inventory in the area. Again, I just wanna give you a visual of what we're talking about. We're gonna do only single family for this purpose. All right. And we're gonna go specifically for this type of inventory. We're gonna go, no, 2.5 baths. And we're gonna hit search. All right, so again, we're looking at this inventory that we have been quoted. So for those of you that are new to the area, this is where Richardson is. So it's neighboring Plano. We did a Plano video just on Sunday. So if you want to check that out, it's literally the live stream right before this. So make sure that you check that out. At the end of the day, we're going to cover the entire Metroplex. So this is actually a series that we're covering where we talk every single city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that has at least 10,000 residents is covered on this channel. So I want you to do your research in this channel. You're going to find anything that you need for a specific city. But for our purposes today, I just want to show you a quick little visual over here. Let me move myself and zoom in over here if I'm able to. Yeah, we are. Again, we're not going to dive in. Zillow exists for that. Redfin exists for that. Realtor.com exists for that. That UX is much better than what you're going to see here. What I want to give you is a visual representation of what this type of home actually goes for. So you see the prices here, you see the type of real estate that we're talking about, and then ultimately we're going to do a calculation to see how we can buy it, to see how much we need to make in order to afford this. So you see the price range that we've been quoted. So 630, I believe, is what we're working with right now. You start seeing these properties start hitting that benchmark. I believe that's it, right? Oh no, the filter's up here. And I'll do one more so I can sip a little bit more tea and then we'll get going, because I don't want this live stream to crash, because anytime I have the Google Maps up, which is on the left-hand side, it's bad news for us. All right. So again, just give you an idea of the real estate. And this is very helpful, especially if you're from a different state, if you're from a different area. You're seeing that for $700,000 in your area, as an example, if you're in McAllen, you can purchase a mansion. Now, if you're in Los Angeles, you can purchase a shack or a lot. So that's the big difference. So I just want to show you some of the differences here. You even get new builds over here, 800, 800. Yeah, so you're getting into the new builds, which in Richardson, you're not going to find a lot of new construction. You're going to find smaller communities, so a few homes being built, like 20, 30 homes it's certainly not going to be a master plan community. And also you're going to have the one-off new build, and of course the remodeled homes that you have available. Oh, what a home. That's all a single story. Well, I guess technically that's a 2-story there. All right, so that's enough of that house porn. We're done with that. Again, Zillow's going to do you right with that. So we'll wait for the property tax rate search. We're going to start with this instead. So let me see. Let me log in here. We got to get our loan clarity calculator. So to get this loan, what you're about to see, this loan clarity calculator, check out the description. This tool is so helpful. It's this tool that we're going to use for all of our breakdowns. It is courtesy of Win the House You Love. A friend of this channel, Kyle Seagraves, is the creator of that channel. So make sure that you go and check out this calculator. The exact same calculation that you're going to see in front of your eyes today, you can do and follow along. So if you happen to be purchasing a home or be trying to purchase a home in this range, Well, the math is going to be done for you right out of the gate because we're about to do it. If you have if you're looking to buy a $800,000 home or something that's a little bit different, then just modify the numbers. We're going to talk through it. Again, at the end of the day, the big reveal is going to be how much you actually need to make in order to purchase a home. How much you need to make in order to purchase this type of home that is $630,000 in Richardson. All right, so we're going to go over here to Texas real quick, and we need to figure out what a $630,000 loan is going to look like. Let me hit the refresh because I didn't see the numbers move. That was probably me because I wasn't paying attention. All right, so we're going to do there we go. All right, so as far as property taxes, this is going to give you a good estimate of what the property taxes are. But one thing we need to recognize when it comes to property tax rates, especially in Texas, is that in Texas, it is one of the higher property tax states. So when it comes to property taxes, Texas is the 7th highest in the country. If you're curious about what number 1 is, that's New Jersey. So it could be worse, correct? Now, with that being said, it is worth an exercise going and finding out what that rate is, what that property tax rate is. All you have to do is go to Richardson Texas property tax rate, and the city itself should give you a number. So here you see Dallas residents, you're paying a 2.4%, so 2.42, and Collin County residents, you get a little bit of a break here. Now, the big difference is that you're going to notice when it comes to property tax rates, there's several numbers that get factored in. One, in the highest property tax percentage is going to come from your ISD. So the independent school district that you go to matters. Now, for our purposes, again, I want to make sure that the website does not crash our system because I've recorded hundreds of videos on this YouTube channel. And whenever I use this software, specifically on different cities, it just crashes on us. So I got to do this explanation really quickly. Typically, your overall tax rate, what you're being taxed at the percentage, is going to include your ISD, is going to include some sort of hospital or hospital district. It's going to include some sort of college, so higher education. It's going to include for sure the county and the city. So it's going to have 5 components. Now, it's not always the case, but most of the time, as you see here, that is going to be the case. So over here on the right-hand side, in the Collin County, you're not paying the hospital. So the hospital district, hospitals, they're labeled differently. But again, depending on the city that you go with, depending on where you live, including here, as you see with Richardson, depending on where you live, if you're in Collin County, well, there's different taxes that get assessed. You're paying less. If you're living in Dallas County, well, you're paying more. So that's something that you need to be aware of whenever you're doing this math. A difference of 1.8 versus 2.4, that's huge. We don't do public math around here, but what's that? 33% higher. So just be aware of that. Again, I could talk about property taxes all day long, but we're not going to. So for this purpose, what we're going to do is we're going to shoot towards the middle. We're going to shoot right around 2%. We're going to give it 2%. And I know those of you that are not in this state are thinking, how the H are you going to be paying 2% in property taxes? Well, you saw right there is it can be worse. It can go up to 2.2 or whatever that number was. But understand that there's other cities such as Garland where it gets even higher, right? So there's some cities around here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that get close to 3%. And property taxes, just as a quick reminder, property taxes don't go away. Which now's a good time for us to talk about what goes away and what doesn't go away in the form of a mortgage payment. So again, we're backtracking into how much we ultimately need to make in order to purchase a home. By the end of this, you're going to be a scholar. You're going to be able to know exactly how to calculate every which way. So you're informed. So you can work with a lender very confidently, where you can learn with you can work with the real estate agent very confidently. If you don't have a lender or an agent, reach out to us. We can connect you. We have a thriving real estate team, and we are doing transactions all over the country. But I digress. There's 4 elements to your mortgage. So typically when you buy a home, You're either going to pay it out in cash, like you yourself through your bank account, or you're going to seek some support. So you're going to get a mortgage. You're going to ask for a loan from a institution, right? So you can either purchase in cash, or you're going to get an institution to buy it with you. So then you can give the homeowner, whoever happens to own that home, the full amount. That's the way that this happens, right? So if you go down the route of getting a loan, essentially it's called a mortgage with the real estate side. So if you get a loan for a house, it's called a mortgage. There's 4 components to that. There is your principal, how much you ask the bank for, how much you ask the institution for. So your principal. And then you also have the interest, how much the bank or how much the institution is charging you for that principal. So essentially your cost. So you have your principal and you have your interest. Those are 2 key elements. Those 2 key elements eventually go away. Now you get to decide how quickly that goes away. You can decide if that goes away in 15 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. There's some mortgages that actually go longer than that. So you get to decide that on how quickly that goes away. So those eventually, once you seek out the debt, well, God willing, it eventually goes away, or you live long enough in order to pay all of that. So those are 2 elements that go away. The third element, so again, we're working on 4. The third element is your property taxes. Property taxes do not go away. Property taxes are going to be there forever and for always. So that is something very important to note. And your property taxes can go up and can go down. I'm using my hands a lot, so let's just do the full shot. Property taxes can go up or can go down. In most cases, they will go. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the interest rate, that the property tax rate that you just saw. It's the assessed value of your home. So your home, in many instances, is going higher. In most instances, it's going to go higher. So as your home appreciates, as your home gets more valuable, then the amount that you get assessed by the county goes with it. So you can find yourself when it comes to property taxes, at one point you were paying, let's say $500. Well, as the property continues to appreciate and goes up in value, that can go up to $550 a month, $600 a month, $700 a month, $800, and on and on and on when it comes to property taxes. So just be aware that property taxes are a real thing. It's a very, very real thing, especially if you're on that edge of being able to qualify and pay for your monthly expenses. If you're on that edge, the appreciation of your home, that's awesome to see it on paper, but unless you sell it, you don't materialize that value. What ends up happening is you're paying every single year for that property tax. I keep digressing. I'm sorry. I can go on and on. I really get excited about this. The 4th element is your home insurance. Now, once you pay off that home, you have the option. I don't recommend it. Very clear. I don't recommend it, but you have the option of not having a home insurance. While you have that loan with your bank, as you're paying off your mortgage, you have to have your home insurance. If you don't get it yourself, they will actually do that on your behalf. So trust me, I've seen that. So those are the 4 elements. You have your principal, your interest, and let's just switch that up. Let's say home insurance and your property taxes. So these 3, if you so choose, as the years go by, those eventually can go away if you want. Again, I don't recommend you doing away with your home insurance, but technically you can once you purchase off that loan, pay off that loan or pay off that mortgage, but the property taxes are for life. That's going to be a thing. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I spent a little bit of time here, but I really want us to understand this component, especially when we start talking about property taxes, when we start talking assessed value, market value. Just a quick side note there. When we're talking about property taxes and the assessed value versus market value, assessed value is what the county sees your home being worth. Your county can see, let's just say you could realistically sell your house for $600,000. Well, that's the market value. That's what you can fetch out in the market. Ideally, if you watched any of our videos when it comes to the how to protest your property taxes and your homestead exemption videos on this channel, ideally your assessed value, which is what the value your county gives your home at, or the assessed value is what the county sees your home being valued at, or charges your taxes on, is lower. So assessed, if you did it right, It's very, if you did it right, it should be lower than your market value. I'm going way too many tangents. Let's get back on track. How about that? Let's do that. All right, here we go. Okay, now that we had an entire lecture, that in and of itself could be a video. So let's get back on track. Here we go. Again, we're buying a $630,000 property. That's going to have 2,700 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths in Richardson, Texas. So we are specifically talking Richardson. And we went over here to check out, actually, we already X'd out of it. We went to Richardson, we typed in Richardson Texas property tax rate, went directly to the website and saw what they are charging, what their property tax rate was. And we saw that there was a difference of where you lived. If you lived in Dallas County within Richardson, you had a 2.2, I believe, 2.2% property tax rate. Now, if you lived in Collin County, it was a 1.8, I believe. So we're just shooting the middle here. We're going to 2% is what we're assuming here. Now, when it comes to insurance, I'm gonna just because insurance continues to go up so high, I'm gonna leave it here. I typically go 0.7%, but I want to give you a conservative number. I don't want you to. I'm gonna leave it at that. I typically go here, but just with the rates going where they're going, and I might not be able to come back to it, so it typically just leaves me there. You know what? Let's stay here. Let's stay here. Now Richardson. Here's something cool about Richardson. More of the newer communities do have HOAs. Now, what's cool about Richardson is that there's a lot of established communities that actually don't have an HOA. So whenever you're looking at a more established neighborhood, it's not as common to have an HOA in it. Now, of course, HOAs are everywhere, but when it comes to Richardson, you can find some opportunities throughout the city that don't require an HOA. So an HOA, just so everybody's on the same page, is a homeowners association that makes a lot of money. I was wanting to buy an HOA back in the day, like a what do you call those? So there's companies out there that will purchase up these HOAs and then roll them up. I wanted to buy one of them, but the valuation at that time I thought was stupid. Turns out I was stupid because they just continue to go up in value. Missed out. I could have owned a lot of HOAs and then y'all could have hated me. Now let's get back on track. Here we go. Here's what we're doing. We are estimating our property taxes, very realistic. We just saw that. Insurance, we're putting it at 0.7%. You see the monthly and your yearly home insurance. And then on the HOA, I'm just going to leave it at 0 for today. With the HOA, when it comes to Richardson, it's going to be anywhere from $400 to probably $800 a year for an HOA. Now, if you get a multi-million-dollar home, then yeah, that's going to be a little bit higher than $800 a year. But just know that it's not going to be the biggest bulk of the payment. So I feel comfortable just leaving that 0 for now. What I want to show you here are different options, different loan options. We are going to go into multiple. We're going to use conventional, although you have various options. You can go FHA, USDA, VA, jumbo portfolio loans. So you can compare them. Now, again, this is linked down below for you to check out the calculators that you're seeing. All the calculators that you're going to see today come to us via courtesy of Win the House You Love by Kyle Seagraves. He has a fantastic YouTube channel that you should check out as well. So make sure that if you want to do this exact breakdown for your particular situation, that you pick up one of these calculators because it is beyond worth it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to assume the minimum payment for, the absolute lowest conventional down payment that we can have, which is 3%. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a 5%, which is typical if this is your second home purchase, and we're going to do 20%. Now, one of the myths that I bought into that I didn't know any better. Before I got into the industry, I thought you needed 20% down, period, point blank. I thought that was it. I thought that was the starting point. That's not true. Where the 20% comes from is when you have 20% down, when you put 20% down, you bypass additional insurance or additional fees that the lender puts on you. So as an example, if you do 5% down, well, you have in the bank size, you have not enough skin in the game. So what they're going to do is they're going to insure themselves in case you default. So this is commonly known as I keep getting this wrong. Mortgage insurance, the mortgage insurance premium. So it's, if you get a conventional, I believe it's MIP, mortgage insurance premium. If you get an FHA, it's basically the same thing, but it's called something different. It's like, I know it's not right, CPA or whatever it's called. No, it's MIP or MPI, something like that. PMI, private mortgage insurance. I'm sorry, here we go. PMI is private mortgage insurance, which is for your conventional, and MIP is for FHA. And if I butcher that, I'm not a lender. So I just know really good ones. I am more on, I can help you get into a house, and that's what we're doing. Here we go. So these are the three scenarios that we're going to go: conventional 1, conventional 2, conventional 3. So I'm going to show you the math and what that looks. So you can mess around with this. If you want to pay the loan off a little bit faster, you can slide that down. But for our purposes, we're going to compare apples to apples, 30 years, 30 years, 30 years. Our interest rate. This is where you're going to have some buyer's remorse, or let me rephrase that, non-buyer's remorse. Because of the environment that we're coming from. A lot of us are used to seeing, or have been used to 2 years ago, seeing 2%, 3%, 4%. Now, when I tell you to go to Google and type in today's mortgage interest rate, you're going to, again, have non-buyer's remorse. Because now the 30-year right now, on average, is almost 8%. And this gives you the historical trend of where it's been. The 30-year, you see right here, it was dipping, and then started rising again. Now, we don't have a crystal ball. We did expect the mortgage rate to drop a little bit faster and a little bit sooner than where we are right now, entering into March, but that is not the case. So again, that's where I'm giving you all the tools that you need in order for you to essentially do the exact same calculation that a lender would be doing, or a realtor that knows what they're doing would be doing for you. So this way, you don't have to get your credit pulled. This way, you understand how the numbers work. This way, you don't get you coerced into something that might not be in your best interest. Because again, real estate agents, I am myself, one, we're here to help you buy a house. You're the one that's responsible for your financial decisions. I'll leave it at that. Here we go. All right, so with that being said, we are going to do some wishful thinking here. We're going to wish that the rates were 7.5. You know what? I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm going to give you I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm just going to give you the straight what it is right now. Now, can you get a better interest rate than this right now? Yes, there's several ways. One, have a little bit better credit, or really good credit. So if you have anything above 750, you're going to be fine. You're going to be really good. You're going to be in a really good position. Now, how you get a even better interest rate is buy a new construction home. New construction home. I mentioned this in our live stream from Sunday. My guy over in DR Horton, the guy that I go to, he just sent me an email that they're locking in loans right now at 5.5. Now, you don't count on that sticking around for long, but here, when it comes to new construction, typically larger builders will hook you up with a favorable interest rate. Now, also understand that new construction, so new homes, are typically priced higher. Why? Because it's a brand new home. It makes sense. But with that being said, I would much rather get a brand new home at a lower interest rate, because over the life of the loan, as you're about to see, I'm saving a lot of money. I don't care if I pay $50,000, $80,000 more, or pay more now to get into a brand new home, which again is going to help me out. I love brand new homes because of the home warranties. Excellent home warranties. You typically have a 1, 2, and 10 year. One, which is what I call 1 year, is the bumper to bumper. So anything that is cracking and all that fun stuff, as the foundation settles, you're going to typically see walls not move, but they're going to be adjusted because they're just packed in so tight. They're insulated so tight that, with the moisture and all that fun stuff, it starts it starts a few cracks here and there. So you have some separation between sheetrock. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is not a new construction thing. Let's just continue going. But if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll gladly address them. I really enjoy this stuff. So somebody needs to be here to moderate my tangents. I'll let go of that. Just remember, with interest rates, if you're looking for a more favorable interest rate, go to a new build community with a real estate agent. I'll give you that right now. With a real estate agent. When you walk into that sales office and you're not represented, understand that sales rep is not there to work for you. It's not there to work on your behalf. You're not paying their bills. Indirectly you are, but you're not paying their bills directly. They don't see your name on the check. They see their name. They see their name, and they see DR Horton's name. They see Toll Brothers. They see Lennar. They see all of these other homes, KB Homes. They see all of these other new builders out there. Just know that that's who they're working for. But anyway, new construction, that's where you get a lower interest rate. All right, so for this points, so just when we're talking about points, is you can buy down the interest rate. That's another way that you can buy down this rate. So let's just say you're getting 8% rate and you have enough money to buy down the rate. So typically a point is 1% of the loan. So if you're looking at what's this going to end up being? Let's just say your loan is $500,000. 1% is, 1% of the loan to buy down the point, it would be $5,000. But we're not going to do that today. We're just going to leave this as is. This is where you would factor in how much it's going to cost you for the loan, because there's going to be some calculations, buying down the rate. There's some calculations you're going to see down there that's going to be really cool. And then lender fees. This is when you're lender shopping. This way you can compare how much your lender is going to charge versus this other lender versus this other lender. So you truly are comparing apples to apples. You don't have to create your own spreadsheet. This is done for you. So again, this calculator is down below. It is, it does have a nominal fee, but again, it's not even coming to me. That is a Kyle Seagrave's Win the House You Love thing. So he sells that. All right. Monthly mortgage insurance. So this is your MI. So this is what we were talking about earlier. With your MI, so your insurance, since you don't have 20% down, you are paying an additional monthly insurance, which again is something else that will eventually go away once you get to 20% down. All right. Now, we're not going to worry about extra payments. In this scenario, the reason that I like this is, again, you have access to this calculator down below, courtesy of Win the House You Love. And I lie to you, actually, I do make money off of this. As I think about this, as I just mentioned that, I do make an affiliate off of that link down below. So full disclosure on that. Good thing I caught myself as soon as I saw the 10-year. I don't even know why that resonated. But when you do the calculation, this actually does a calculation for you. So it lets you know that over 10 years, conventional loan 3, which is right here, if you choose a loan, conventional 3 compared to the most expensive loan, con 1, the cheapest loan isn't always the best option. Also consider the upfront. Oh, we're going to see that breakdown. But this gives you the breakdown of, it's in reverse. It lets you know which one is going to save you the most. So with conventional 3, you see that saves you the most over here. Obviously, because you have paid more in down, which means you're paying less in interest. So the higher the interest payment is, this is going to be very obvious, but the higher the interest payment is, the more that you're going to end up saving. Now, that also means the more that you're going to be putting up front. So that's why this is so valuable for you to see. Now, here's the breakdown on what it ends up costing you at the end of the day. So here, when you see the additional that you're paying in mortgage insurance, because you didn't put the 20% down, conventional 1, conventional 2, the 2 scenarios that we gave, you are paying that additional monthly mortgage insurance. That eventually goes away when you get to 20% equity. Now, you can get to 20% equity as you're going through the years in several ways. One is because you paid religiously and a certain break point, which actually gives you the break point here shortly, you get to 20% down, or the home appreciates so drastically, which is what you saw in many occasions here over the past couple of years, that the 20% gets satisfied. So you end up having 20% equity in your home. Now, the amount that you pay in interest is right here, right? So this gives you an entire breakdown. And then you see the difference. So had you put 20% down from the jump versus the 5% down, it would be, if you would have done 5% down, you would have paid $105,000 more. If you would have done the 3% down, you would have paid $116,000 more. Now, this is when we start getting to some really good math. This is when we start getting to the really meat and potatoes of it. So I know I've been going on several tangents, but hopefully you're sticking in there with me. There's a lot of good information here, if I do say so myself. But now we're getting into the actual answering the question that we set out to answer. All right, so conventional 1, conventional 2, conventional 3. So option 1, option 2, option 3. Everything else is the same. So you see your monthly payment at year 10. So we're going based off of year 10 scenarios. You can adjust this up. You can adjust this down. We'd use 10 years as a baseline. Why do we use 10 years? Because historically, you're going to be buying another home, or you're going to be moving within 7 to 10 years, historically. Now, right now, what we're noticing in the real estate industry, given the climate that we're in, it's people are staying in their homes a little bit longer. Why? Well, because they just purchased it. Because either they've paid off their home. About 40% of the homes right now are owned outright. Then the others, not all the others, but a good portion of the other homes that are actually financed right now, well, they're locked in at a very favorable rate, at a 3%. And it's tough to convince or to have someone buy another home when they're trading a mortgage at 3% for 8%. It's hard to stomach, and I recognize that. That's what we have conversations with homeowners all the time about this. But when it comes to the 10 years, again, so we're looking at, it's a $5,100 loan a month. I'm sorry, $5,100 a month payment. If you put 5% down, you're paying just over $6,000 a month. If you put 3% down, you're paying just over $6,100 a month, or I guess close to $6,200. Now, here's where you're going to start seeing some really cool stuff. This is where I was mentioning, depending on how much you put down and all that fun stuff, how much you would own of the home. Like in year 10, you would own 30% of the home, assuming a certain appreciation, which it gives you what that would be, and then all that fun stuff. But here is what I want to show you. On conventional 3, if you're going to put 20% down, you're talking about putting $126,000. I recognize that not everybody can do that. I fully recognize. So yeah, it's easy for me to say, well, if you put 20% down, it's $5,100. Obviously, that's very easy to say. It's so much harder to actually do it. So that's why it's important that you understand the differences, understand the math, understand how this breaks down. If you can do 20% down, do it. If you cannot, that's okay. Right? At the end of the day, you're going to need shelter. So you're going to see the difference between renting and the difference between ownership. But this way you at least have the math broken down. So you see there's a huge difference between a 5% down and a 20% down. Now you see that the total loan amount is $600,000 versus $500,000, obviously because those are essentially flipped. And then the amount of time it would take for the mortgage insurance to fall off is about 11 years, making some assumptions along the way. And this is the assumptions that we're talking about, the selling and appreciation. So how much money, what's going to be your return at the end of this rainbow in terms of owning that home? So let's just say you are going to keep that home for 10 years. This is so slick. This right here is actually the price of admission in terms of this particular tool. It's the Loan Clarity Advisor by, again, Win the House You Love. I can't claim to have created this. I wish I had. Win the House You Love. Go over to that website, winthehouseyoulove.com, and you're going to have it, or just check out the link in the description. All right, so assuming you have a 4% appreciation rate, which, by the way, it's not that huge of an appreciation. It's actually, that's normal. Back in the day, when we had these prices go absolutely insane in 2021, 2022, when you were looking at those appreciations from that year to that year, you had some cities, at least here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, that went up 20, 25%, up to 30% up in Prosper and that type of suburb. So this appreciation is very reasonable, abundantly reasonable, and quite rational. But you can adjust it. You can be as aggressive as you want. If you want to pretend that you're going to have another 20% increase, do it. Don't count on it, but do it. So we're going to keep it at something reasonable. 4% is beyond reasonable. Cost to sell, let's just say you're going to pay whatever you end up paying when it comes to the commission to a listing agent, and anything that it's going to cost you to fix it up and all that fun stuff. Whatever you end up negotiating, which, by the way, you can negotiate. You can negotiate commissions. I don't know if anyone's told you lately, but you can negotiate commissions. So don't accept the price that is that commission that is shared with you whenever you're listing a home. And this is coming from an agent, just so you know. Tax increase per year. So assuming that the tax, you're going to be paying more in taxes as the years go by, which is going to happen, just as a heads up. And then the insurance increase per year, which again, and this actually I can get a little bit more aggressive. Now, I'm not going to always say that's going to increase by 3, 4, 5, 10% forever and for always, but insurance is getting more expensive. I want you to prove me right. If you have a home, I want you to go and see what your premiums are right now compared to last year or the year before that. If you have a car, which I know a majority of you do, I want you to prove me right there as well, and go to your State Farm account, to your Allstate account, to your Progressive account, and see what your premiums are. From my personal experience, I was paying $150 for my one vehicle, and that was it, just me, $150. It went up to $250 in a matter of basically a month. Well, technically a year. The insurance is getting higher all across the board, so we know that. All right. Now, here's where the actual benefit of buying versus renting. So you see the difference over here. We're not going to spend too much time here. I just want to actually show you the benefit of buying and the cost associated to that. You have all the numbers in front of you versus how much you would be paying in rent, making some assumptions as well. And in most cases, just as a heads up, you're going to end up ahead if you buy, especially as you go further in years. So if you move this up to 30 years, how much you would have paid in rent. I don't want to do this to you, but I will. See how much you're going to pay in rent over those 30 years and just make that assumption so you can see that huge difference. But again, that's neither here nor there. Now, if you want to see the I always have trouble with this word, amortization table, basically how much you're paying, and it's going to be the same amount, but what goes to the interest and goes to the payment and goes to the mortgage insurance in this particular loan is going to change. But at the end of the day, your mortgage payment, the actual payment that you're making, is going to be the same. You see the constant here, $44.84. It's going to go all the way down until ultimately you pay it off in 30 years. All right, so I spent way too much time there. So hopefully that, let me know if you want for me to speed it up in the future. Let me know in the comment section. This is a series that we just started, so I want to make sure that I'm reading the room correctly. Now we get into how much you actually need to earn. What is going to be the gross income that you need to have in order to purchase a home here in Richardson? So remember, we're going off of this premise. We're buying a home for $630,000, 2,700 square feet, 4 bed, 3 bath. We saw the type of home that we could purchase. I showed you the link on where to go with that. Just go to JaimeResendiz.com, eXp Realty, JaimeResendiz.exprealty.com. That's what it is. And then we went through and showed you how the loans actually break down. Now what we're doing is, how much do we need to earn in order to qualify to purchase a $600,000 home, $630,000 home? So we're going to assume that our interest rate is 8%. We're going to also assume, can y'all see that? Where's my zoom in? Here it is. Okay. All right, so we're going to assume what? Let's do a 5% down. This is going to be our middle calculation right here. This one. We're going to go with the middle option. We're going to put 5% down for today's purposes. Our interest rate is going to be 8%, which hopefully by the time you're watching this, when you go to today's mortgage interest rate, it's much lower than that. You know, lift up prayers. Now, property taxes, we are going to, what did we say we're going to do? We were going to leave it at 2%. So here, the way that it works is in bits, I believe is what they're called. So you wouldn't put 2.00 just to make this calculator work correctly. And then the insurance rate, what did we end up leaving it at? Did we back off? No, we left it at that. That's fine. So 0.7%. We're going to say that we have great credit or just good credit. And we're going to assume that our HOA fees is something reasonable for this price. Let me rephrase that. For this price, our yearly HOA is going to be $800. And then our income tax rate is going to be that. So don't worry too much about that. However, let's just say, because we know we need to start at a higher number to make this work. Let's say you make $250,000. Actually, let's go to 200 because we can change it. So if you have a two income household, great. If not, if you make that yourself, that's cool too. Now, what you're gonna want to do, this really where you're gonna be able to play around with some numbers. What you're gonna want to do is include your debts. So if you have a car loan, as you see here, if you have a car loan, a student loan, credit cards, personal loans, alimony, child support, whatever debt you have, you're going to need to include it here. So again, most common what happens is, the most common loans that you're going to have here are going to be car loans, student loans, and credit card loans. Those are the three most common ones that you're going to see. Make sure that you add them here because they matter. You're going to play around with those numbers and really see exactly how much they matter as the calculations get made. Now, this is where you would input your co-borrowers. So whoever's going to go on that loan, you're going to include them here. So for our purposes today, we're just going to keep it as clean as possible. Let's just say you're making $200,000 a year and you're driving a car that is 10 years old that you paid off years ago. That's our assumption today. And then we are also assuming that you don't carry credit card debt. Big assumption. I know I'm making a big assumption, but again, everybody knows there are personal circumstances. That's why I show you how to do the math, so you can put your specific situations in and you don't have to guess. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to go to our affordability calculator. Now, here's the thing. What you're going to see flashing right at you is going to be this, the $475,000. You're going to be thinking, mother of mercy. I'm nowhere close to buying that $630,000 house. And you would be right. Assuming, here's what the assumption is, that you have a conservative risk level, meaning that you are not taking out as big of a loan as you could. There will be a lender, there will be an institution that will lend you something that is much higher than this. And you're going to see that breakdown below. Where if you go into the moderate, as an example, if you go into the moderate risk level, that's what you can get approved for. So you see, let's just say the conservative route. The conservative route says that your monthly mortgage payment is going to be around $4,667,000. That's what your monthly payment could be if you buy a home for this amount, and this is 37% of your net income. That's what the assumption. Like this is a conservative loan for you, and those are the loans that we give. These are the scenarios that we give. They're the same scenarios that, again, Win the House You Love, Kyle Seagrave's fantastic YouTube channel. I love working with him because he actually gives you the numbers, the facts, all this fun stuff, and is not out there to get you approved for as much as you possibly can, knowing that when property taxes go up, knowing that when the home insurance rates go up, knowing when there's changes in your situation where you become house poor and becomes very unmanageable for you to make that next payment. He doesn't put his clients in that scenario. Very ethical dude. That's why we're really good friends, and that's why we work so well together. But with that being said, that's why we start off with the conservative. Can you qualify for almost that home that we were talking about at $630,000? Well, roughly, if you get approved for a home that's of $612,000, that would be 47% of your net income going to your house payment. Do you feel comfortable with that? Right now, do you want to take it to another level and pay $7,500, which is 60% of your net income going to your house payment? That is super aggressive. Now, here's the thing. Can you find lenders that will pre-approve you for something higher than what we just quoted here? 100%. Now, do you feel comfortable paying 60% of your net income, 47% of your income? Now, some of these may not be as reasonable as you keep going down. You're gonna have to find a really a portfolio loan or lender out there that it does not have to adhere to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac criteria. But with that being said, this is your decision to make. That's why we're showing you the math. And now you can come down here and show the math. So the rest of the sheet will show you the math based on the risk level you choose below. You can come back and change it at any time. So we're going to stay on the conservative math, and you're going to see how everything breaks down. So you're at the top. Let's just say if you wanted to make it more of a riskier situation, you see that your monthly estimated payment would be that. Your down payment would be something like this. Your closing costs would be something like this. Your cash to close would be something like that. And it goes on to do a lot of other calculations for you. So to buy a home realistically, here's the big reveal. To buy a home realistically, you need to be earning that type of income if you're going to purchase at 5% down. We made a lot of assumptions here. If you have more money stashed away, you don't necessarily need to make that $200,000 to service the entire loan, because you're not going to be asking for as much, right? Right now we're giving the scenario that you're doing that you're doing a 5% down. Well, if you did 20% down, you're not asking for as much from the bank, so your monthly income does not need to be as high as it is right now. But again, that's something you're going to want to play around with on your own. I showed you the entire math. I showed you, again, the quartiles, the different segments that you can purchase, different type of inventory that you can purchase in Richardson in a very realistic way. Just go to altos.re and go and see this exact breakdown for yourself. If you're in Richardson, you can price that out. You can price that out if you so choose. Go over to Zillow, go over to, and again, this is a realtor speaking. Go over to realtor is blasphemy in my profession, but go over to realtor. They have a better UX if you want, or if you want our list of preferred homes, they are going to be linked down below. Now that's directly from the MLS. Feel free to grab that and see, is this type of home that I want to buy? Now, once you are really good on the, hey, Richardson seems to be a good good home. I've seen the pros and cons video from this YouTube channel, the DFW Homeowner, which is this YouTube channel, by the way. And I've seen the Everything About video, which again is also on this channel. And I like Richardson. Once you have made that decision, get to the numbers, get to the math. Here, price out what loans you're looking to get. You can do conventional, FHA, USDA, VA, whatever loan is right for you. You can price that out and then see what the math would be, and then ultimately how much you're gonna need to earn. So for our purpose today, we're gonna say that if you're gonna purchase a home in Richardson, that's about $630,000, maybe just a little bit shy of $630,000 at a 5% down, at an 8% interest rate. Remember, if this interest rate goes down, you're gonna be approved for substantially more. Now, all you have to do is just adjust that, and let's just say the interest rate goes down to that 5.5 that I was telling you about that a D.R. Horton home has, your number's going to look a little bit different. Your number is going to look significantly different, right? So now, instead of you being approved for $611,000, which is what we had, now you're approved for $730,000, right? So I know a lot of you have that non-buyer's remorse, but again, if you're not a homeowner yet and you have the intention of becoming a homeowner, it's still a possibility. It's absolutely a possibility. Just it's going to look a little bit different. That's the only difference. This is where you go to see how much you can actually afford. This exactly how you do the breakdown. Now, if you have any questions, I will be sticking around after this live stream. So let me know in the chat so I can address any questions that come up. But outside of that, if we can help you in any way here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex or across the entire country, since we have agents in all 50 states and multiple countries, let me know. Happy to support you in any way that I can. Talk to you soon.